Welcome to the Army Empire Podcast, your go-to podcast for insightful tips on investment strategies, entrepreneurship, and all things money matters. Join Bernard Alerte, your guide on this journey to financial freedom. Each episode will dive into expert advice, practical strategies, and inspiring stories to help you take control of your financial future. Whether you're an aspiring entrepreneur or a seasoned investor, we've got something for everyone. So get ready to unlock your financial potential and make your money work for you. And now, let's welcome your host, Bernard Alerte.
Hello, and welcome.
Good evening. How you guys doing?
I'm doing good over here. How are you?
Doing awesome. Very excited to be here.
Listen, Tuesdays is my favorite night because I get free education, my friends. So welcome to the Army Empire Podcast. We are so excited that you are here, whether you're watching live or you're watching the replay, whether you're watching on Instagram, Facebook, or YouTube. We love knowing that you are with us. So if you're watching, please say hello. Tell us where you're watching from. You already know that in the next 30 to 40 minutes, you can ask questions, engage with us as we jump into an amazing new topic by our own financial coach, Bernard Alerte. What do we got for today?
We're very excited. I think we talked about different episodes like where's the money? What's the reason to save money? What's the goal? But the ultimate goal, every single one of us, is we want to become financially independent, right? So the topic is we're on a journey, the road to financial independence. And that's something that's not talked about that much, but people don't really quite understand. What does that actually mean? What does that entail? And how to do? What are some tips? So we're going to go over a couple of different topics. We're going to go over maybe a couple of things that we talked about before in the past, so put it together to have it make sense. But the goal is to get everybody on the road to financial independence.
Nice. And that's exactly what we want to do. So grab your pen and paper as usual, and let's go ahead and take some notes and grab these nuggets that he always leaves, these notes of wisdom for us to grow in our financial status. So let's get into it.
Absolutely. If you look at the first slide, right, what are some financial challenges people are facing? So I want people to know that they can relate, because sometimes when people are going through something, they feel like they're the only ones going through it. But there's a lot of people going through. For example, 91% of retirees right now rely on Social Security as a major or minor source of income in retirement, right? And we talked about how little you get in Social Security, how it's like very unstable. The average Social Security is maybe $1,800, $1,900. So imagine you can't live on that right now. Imagine trying to live on this 10, 15, 20 years down the line. It could be very, very challenging, right?
Right.
Half of retirees say they retired earlier than expected, where nearly 7 and 10 indicated the reason was out of their control. So there's so many people that did not want to retire when they retired, but they had no choice, right? Mm-hmm. Maybe they got a little bit older, or maybe they got downsized, right size, whatever it might be. This is why it's good to plan early, because sometimes people say, well, I want to work. See, you might feel good, let's say in your 60, but 61, you might get something and you don't feel good. So what mistakes people make sometimes, like, I'm okay. I'm going to work till I need to work. I'm going to work till I kick the bucket or something like that. Yeah. Yes, you might in your mind, you might want to do it, but sometimes your body or situations that are out of your control will say otherwise.
Right.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. And another, just 2 in 10 workers feel very confident about their ability to afford a comfortable retirement. So people are concerned. That's 2 out of 10 people. So 8 out of 10 people are totally insecure, right? About maybe they retire. So let's talk about how do you feel. The question you want to ask yourself: how do you feel about your current financial situation, right? And let's talk about that real quick. This is why it's important. If you look at the next slide, all right. See, the challenge, what happens to most people, you heard a cliche before, most people don't plan to fail, they fail to plan, right? And the reason people hate cliche, because a lot of cliches, sometimes they're true, right? So if you think about this is us in the middle, right? As soon as you get paid, your money disappears at the end of the month. So this is you're in the middle. As soon as you get paid, your money going towards your mortgages, right? Or rent, money going towards credit cards, money costs car loan and student loans. Money's going to a life insurance. Money's going towards mutual fund. Money's going to savings account. Money 401k bank account. So what happens to most people, they have different companies that they're dealing with. Like you have your mortgage in one company, credit cards another company, car loans, another company, life insurance, another company, and investment, another company. So what happens? Your money spread out different directions, but the challenge is none of these companies have a goal for you to become financially independent.
True.
So what happened is your money is going to work against you. Your mortgage companies, their only goal is to keep you paying, have you keep paying the mortgage. See, credit cards, their only interest is what? Is getting, for example, you paying more interest and more credit, more interest. That's what they make their money. Statement installment loan, life insurance to get is companies, they want you to get as little coverage and pay the most amount of money, right? So what happens is you don't have a game plan. Your money's going out of your pocket every single month, but nothing's going back in. So what happens is you need to deal. How do you deal with someone that can maybe coordinate everything, make sure that everything works together? Because everything works against you, not for you, right? And this is where we have to kind of bring things to light. We're going to talk about towards the end, right? So what are some of the things? What a concept? This is the part. Next slide. You look at the next slide. This is what happens. Do you know one of the most important numbers to know, other than your social security number or your credit score number? One of the most important numbers that every single person needs to have is, do you know your financial independence number? Or FIN number, right? Well, what does that actually mean? That's the amount of money that you'll need to accumulate so that someday you can live off that money for the rest of your life without going back to work. So how much money do I need to have at retirement so when I retire, so I can stay retired, right? And to challenge most people, they underestimate that number. Here's the reason why. Let's say if you wanted to retire in 30 years, right? And if someone's making $30,000 a year right now, so if you're barely making it pretty much in the society today, right? If you want to retire in 30 years with $30,000 a year right, 30 years from now, after 3% inflation, $73,000 spends like $30,000 does today. So 30 years from now, you need to make $73,000 to have the same buying power of $30,000 does today.
That's crazy. Wow.
Yeah. So your FIN number, that person's FIN number, they will need to have over $1 million accumulated to make sure they never run out of money, right? Now, how do you get there? To get there, that person will have to invest $585 a month for 30 years at a 9% rate of return, will accumulate $1 million. Now, most people don't make $30,000. Most of them, they might make 40 or 50 or 60 or 70 or 80 or 100,000, but they don't really know. If you ask everybody out there, do you know your financial statistic? What's that? They have no idea how much money they need to get there. So the reason people never get to their goals, never get a chance to retire, we talked about, because they have no idea how much money they need to have at retirement.
Yep.
Makes sense? So it's impossible to get to a destination if you don't even know what the destination is.
Yes.
Right? So at least if you have that idea, then you can actually say, okay, you know what? I may not be where but at least I have an idea how to get there. At least you have the destination. Makes sense to be able to get there, right? And that's the challenge for most people. But how do you get it? What are some of the things that people need to understand or learn? Okay. One of the most powerful rules, and to this day, been in the industry almost almost 30 years, around 29, 30 years. One of the most powerful rules that overwhelmed me even back then in 1997 when I just got started in the business, and to this day, it still overwhelms me now whenever I think about it. And it's surprising and shocking how many people don't know this rule. The most powerful rule when it comes to money is something called the Rule of 72, right? And the Rule of 72 tells you very, very simple. If you take the interest rate you're saving or investing your money in, if you divide that into 72, it will actually tell you how many years it takes your money to double. So pretty much it will tell you if you have like $10,000 in someone, how long is it going to take that down 10,000 to turn to 20,000, 20 to 40,000? And people don't really know, right? So I'll give you an example. If you're getting 3% interest on your money, if you divide 3 into 72, that means your money doubles every 24 years. So that 10,000 will take you 24 years for that 10,000 to turn to 20,000. Another 24 years to turn to 40,000. That's a long time for your money to double. Because how many 24-year time frames do we have? Most of us, one or two if we're lucky in our lives, right? So it's a major challenge. So think about most people put their money in credit unions, savings account, money market, checking account. That's once we have that money where you're getting less than 1% interest.
Mm.
You divide 1 into 72, your money doubles every 72 years, right? So let's say if you double to 6%, a little better, right? Your money will double every 12 years. A little better, right? 10%, a little difference, right? So you have 160,000, same 48-year time frame, right? But look what happens at 12%. At 12%, your money doubles every 6 years. So at 10,000 over 24, you see the difference? You have same person at $2.5 million in the same time frame. People ask me all the time, what's the difference between 3% and 12%? People say, well, 9%. No, an actual dollar sign is over $2 million difference. Almost $2.5 million difference. This is why it's important to know where you're saving, invest your money. How is your money growing? How much interest you're getting on your money? That's so important. The amount is not just save, but your money has to grow for you. Makes sense to be able to get there, right?
So it's not just about saving, it's allowing that money to actually grow for you. That was so good.
Your money needs to grow. And so important. Because what happens when you put your money, and this is why it's so important, when you put your money in a bank, they don't let it sit there with your name on it. They actually take your money, invest your money. Where they get 10, 12% interest on your money and they give you less. Or they'll lend it back to you from a credit card. They'll lend it back to you from a mortgage, right? And they charge you interest on your money, on your own money. Makes sense? Which is challenging. So this is why we teach people a constant call. If you look at the next slides, become an owner, not a loaner. Become an owner, not a loaner. Why? Banks usually pay a low interest on their customers' deposit and then loan that money and invest that money directly into the economy. So you put your money in the bank, you deposit your paycheck, $1,000 or $2,000, you deposit your paycheck, right? Guess what happens? Your money is actually funneled out right away, bypassed it, right? Goes directly into the global economy. See, the bank gains a higher rate of return on its investment, is happy to pay you a lower interest rate for the use of your money. See, you are lending money to the bank and they are making a profit on your money. That's how banks work. So one thing we teach people is, listen, become an owner, not a loaner. Why don't you invest your money where the same places the banks invest your money? Why does the bank guarantee you 1% or 2%? Because they know they're going to get 10, 12, 15, 20% on your money. They know it. They know it. So they don't mind doing it. So we have to shift our mindsets, become an owner, says, I need to invest my money, right? Where the banks invest. I don't know how banks has different ways. Most people are not capitalized like a bank is. But one way we always talk about that you can invest is in American economy, mutual funds. You got to learn how to bypass the middleman, have your money working directly, right?
And when someone sits with you, you help them do that jump and bypass that middleman.
Bypass, yes. Invest your money in mutual funds. Well, people are concerned. Well, I might lose money and market. I might things like that. People are so concerned about it. And I'm like, you need to understand. You need to understand how it works. And I'm sure actual numbers, right? Well, people are concerned over a long period of time where how it works, right? If you look at the next slide, right? Historically, the market has rewarded the patience of long-term investors with more positive years than negative years. People don't realize there's more positive years, and people act like the market, you always lose money. No, it's not, right? So if you look at this slide, this is actually from January from 1940 to the end of 2024, right? Like if you look at every 1 year time period, right? Mm-hmm. There's been 66 positives and 19 negatives. Mm-hmm. So for every 1 year, if you look at every 1 year, what does that mean? That means look at 1940, 41 to 42. So they look at those numbers, right? So that you had 16 positive and only 19 negative. So most likely, if you invest your money in mutual fund, you're gonna most likely have a positive year. Would you agree with the numbers, right? Mm-hmm. 3-year time frames. What does that actually mean? From 1940 to 1943, 41 to 44. They run those 3-year time frames. 74 periods are positive, 9 negative, right? 5-year time frame for, let's say, 1940, 45, 41, 40, right? 74 positive, only 7 negative periods.
Yeah.
Right? Now, if you look at 10-year time frame, so if someone's telling me I'm going to invest my money for the 10-year time frame, they've been what? 74 positive periods and 2 negative periods. And in 20-year time frame, there have been 66 positive, 0 negative periods.
Absolutely.
20 years. So if someone says, I want to invest for my retirement, so I don't like to use the word guaranteed, but the most highly likely you will not lose money at all for the 20-year time frame.
Yeah, that longevity pays off.
100%. Now, if someone says, I want to invest my money in a year and take that money out, then that's different. You have to, this is why we have different accounts to do that. You want to take a chance because you might get a positive, but you also might get a negative, right? Makes sense? But for a 20-year time frame, so if someone's putting money for their retirement, if you're 20 years old, 20, you want to retire, you're good. 30, you put money at 40, you retire. 50, you retire. 70, you're pretty much sure that your money's going to grow for you and you're going to have positive time periods for a 20-year time frame, so with consistency, right? But this is the education people don't know, Liz. People don't talk about that. They don't know about that. They're nervous. Oh my gosh, you see something, right? And they get nervous and paranoid, right? And they make bad choices, right? So if you look at the next slide we talk about, and I just want to bring that up, right? We thought invest with your head, not the headlines.
Yes, I remember we spoke about this. Yep.
Invest with your head, not the headlines, right? There have been plenty of reasons not to invest in the market over the years, but long-term investors' results over a period of time with S&P 500 from, let's say, 19 for the past 30 years, average about 10, almost 11% average, right? And look at all, I mean, you can't see there's very little numbers. You can't, very little incidents that happen. Listen, there's a war, there's a conflict in Iran right now, right? They're like, oh my gosh, gas prices are going up. There might be a challenge, or the market might, or what? And you see the market jittery a little bit, but I'm like, it doesn't matter. Invest with your head, not the headlines. There's always going to be headlines. Every year there's going to be headlines. There's going to be reason not to say, but the key, if you stay the course for the long term, you will become financially independent. One of the reasons that people don't become financial is not because they're not investing the right amount of money, they're getting poor advice. They are listening. They don't have someone that's going to guide them, show them what they need to do, what they're doing. They listen to the headlines. They listen to let's say CNN, which stands for constant negative news, right? CNN, constant negative news, right? They listen to all their friends from the, right? They listen to people like that give them the wrong advice, and they make the bad choices. Right? And this is why invest with your head. If your goals haven't changed, don't move your money. If your goals have changed, that's different. But if your goals haven't changed, stay the course.
Yeah.
Stay the course. 100% stay the course, right? So let's look at the next slide, right? The next slide is don't pay. One of the biggest things that causes people to lose money, not to be able to retire, is don't pay the high cost of waiting. The high cost of, see, if you want to become financially independent, you don't have a choice. You must start now. You must start now. One thing is certain, you can't afford a high cost. For example, if you look at if your goal is to save $1 million for retirement at age 67, look at the difference time makes. If you're 25 years old, all you have to invest $177 a month consistently. And you have $1 million. So someone's then 20s, 25, save money, right? Now, look at the big difference. If you say, I'm going to wait till I'm 35, you have to invest $448, which almost 2.5 times to reach that goal. You wait till 45, $1,200, which is challenging, right? It's hard for people to say invest $1,200, nearly 7 times more, right? Age 55, almost forget it, $3,800. Unless you're high income earner where you're making 20,000 a month, it was very hard to invest $3,800 a month. Make sense, right? This is why earliest people start. One thing I like to spend time with younger folks. I'm get started early. I get excited. I say, man, you don't understand. They don't understand the power of their money compound, what's going to happen for them in the future by being able to save and invest money, right? And the sooner you begin to save, the greater growth of investment will be, right? At 25, right, total 60, the cost of waiting, just $100 a month, 566,000, right? If you wait 1 year, think about if this is about if you invest $100 a month at 25 to what 67, you'll have 566,000. If you wait 1 year, it goes down to $517,000, right? So 1 year, not investing 1,200 costs you almost 50 grand over that period of time. That's 1,200, right? 5 years, right? From 25 to 30, you'll have 357, right? So which is pretty much 1,200. 5 years, that's 6,000, let's say 7,000 or something like that, right? Cost you 209,000. This is power. This is what the sooner you begin to save, the greater growth of investment. That means it doesn't matter how much, even if you start with 50, 100, something's better off with starting with something than nothing.
Absolutely. And we got to comment here. Absolutely. Don't wait. Compounded interest is everything. You never get that time back. That is so true. And I'm going to try something a little different today. Listen, if you are ready to invest and you're ready to have a conversation, just hit yes, contact me or tell me more while Bernard continues here with this amazing topic. You can go ahead and click one of these here.
Absolutely. And if you look at part of the next slide, right? We talked about this is why it pays to start early. This is the power of starting early, right? Check this out. This is someone that like someone that's 22 years old, right? That starts working a job, and we talk about fully funding the IRA. If you're 22 years old, investor A, if you start putting $7,000 a year away, right? And if you put $7,000 religiously from every year from 22 to 29, right? Then you stopped. You say, I'm not putting any more money. And I let that money sit and grow. Check this out. By the time you're 67, that account would have grown to almost $2.5 million. Because of compound interest. $2.5 million. So $56,000 of contributions will bring you $2.5 million over that period of time. If that same other person, this is a young man's dies $7,000, I'm gonna put $7,000 a year. I'm gonna do it for 9 years. Now the same 22 say, you know what? That's for old people. I want to enjoy my life. I want to go partying. I want to spend my money. I want to be able to do that, right? That same 22 say, you know what? I'm gonna start when I'm 29. That 29-year-old that's 30 that starts investing money, right? Would have to contribute $7,000 a year every single year. Wow. Till they're 67, and they'll only have $2.3 million. Same good. It's better than nothing. Versus what? They would have to contribute $266,000. This is the power of compound interest, and how early as you start, the better off you're going to be in the process.
Yes, absolutely.
You know? And this is why. Now, what type of investor are you, right? This is something we want people to know. Should you be aggressive or conservative, right? Now, what are some of the funds? If you're conservative, right? Best place to put your money, income funds and bond funds, right? Municipal bond funds and government funds. But what happens is you're getting lower risk, but you're also getting lower reward. You get lower risk, okay, but you get lower reward. What is moderate, right, which is in the middle, which is large cap equity funds and balanced funds versus aggressive equity funds, emerging growth. Guess what? You get higher risk and higher reward, right? So what most people, so what would I recommend? Everybody's different. That's why we when we sit down with someone, we find their risk profile, find out how they feel, find a concern, what a concern, you're concerned about, you know, then we give them sometimes people, they might end up in the middle sometimes. Right. But one of the biggest mistakes people make is I see young people that you have a 10, 20 year time frame. They're too conservative.
Yeah, that was going to be my question. When I look at this, I automatically think, okay, the conservative is going to be those 20-year-olds and then moderate, but then the older folks are going to go aggressive. But it really has nothing to do with age. It has to do with.
It's actually the other way around in risk tolerance. The younger you are, you have more time for the fluctuation, you should be more aggressive.
That's so good.
Yes, because why? You have dollar cost averaging working for you.
See how this is so important, my friends, because we see this and we automatically think we know, okay, so this should be this. And here we are finding out, no, actually it's the contrary. That's really good.
Exactly. Now, when you're a little bit older, because you can't, and when you're older, you're about to retire, you can't take too much fluctuation. Makes sense? Because you might need your money. So you might think, so what happens is most people, you want to be more aggressive when you're younger because you have more time for your money to compound, and you can take advantage of dollar cost averaging. But as you get older, your risk profile changes. You might change it a little bit more conservative as closer you get to your retirement. Makes sense? You'll be able to do that. Now, but there's situations where, for example, if you don't have any money saved, but even if you're older, but it talks about time horizon, how much time do you have? You might be a little bit more aggressive because you need to make up for it. But sometimes there might be certain situation, rare situation where, listen, you're a little bit older, but you have a little time. We need to get a little bit more. We can't be too conservative. Makes sense? We want you to be able to have more money. Okay, so that might be a situation. But either way, we have invested. We talked about, if you look at past episodes, we went over the accumulation phase that people have versus distribution phase, right? We went over different phases, financial phases that people face. So there's accumulation phase where people start accumulating money. There's distribution phase where they start kind of taking money out, so they need to be more conservative. Makes sense? So, but either way, we can, whatever is someone's profile, we can help them. So what is one of the biggest advice, one key point that I can share with anyone, advice to really make a big difference? Number one is you have to pay yourself first. Put yourself at the head of the line. What does that actually mean? Most people, here's what they do. As soon as they get their paycheck, they pay everybody first. They pay this, and that. And whatever's left after, they try to save and invest. And that's the biggest mistake they make. You have to have a bill. You are your most important bill. And we tell people, I'd rather you save, put your money aside for investing for yourself than pay your credit card. If that's the case, rather than pay $500 to Visa to get out there, take $250, invest in your retirement, and pay Visa $250. Right? So save 10% of your income. You want to be able to 10% of your income. If you're making $4,000, if you're making your $4,000 a month, right? Take $400 and invest for your future. That's the rule of thumb. Right? 4,000, right? 400. 5,000, 500. 10,000, 1,000. Right? So that's the goal. Then you treat it as a bill that you owe to yourself and your family.
Love that.
You need to treat it as a bill that you owe yourself. And you do. You do. This is a bill. You need people that are wealthy save and invest that money first. That's one thing I can tell you. Everyone that's come across that's able to retire, that has money, one thing they did is never about how much money they invested. Or they must have invested a lot of them. No, they must have had no bills. No, they had bills like everybody else. They decided to put themselves first. That made a big difference over time. Their mindset, and that made a huge difference over a period of time. Because I figure I'm gonna take 10% of my income or 15%, and I'm gonna put that aside, and I'm gonna live on the rest.
So good. So put your family first. That's excellent. Treat it as a bill.
100%. Then the second step, you set up a complete savings program with 3 accounts. Talk about emergency fund. We always talked about that. Short-term savings and wealth building accounts, right? And they all have different purposes, right? In other words, see, you need to have a program in place for a comfortable retirement, which is so important, right? So if you look at the last slide, if you look at the last line, this is what we talk about. We're not sure that people don't plan to fail, they fail to plan. But how do we solve that? We do something called financial needs analysis. The solution we do, which is customized. I mean, customized means is designed specifically for you with your numbers, right? Not any one number. It's not like a random one size fits all. It's customized specifically towards your situation, specifically your numbers, right? And specifically your goals. And it's confidential. That means whatever information shared, stay confidential. It's not going to go out there. It's protected. And it's complimentary. It doesn't cost you any money. Complimentary means it's free.
Yes.
Okay. And that helps you achieve your goals and dreams. So what it does, like a financial GPS, and helps you find answers to these important questions. Like, for example, what is my financial independence number? You look at your income, how much you're putting aside already, and it'll tell you your shortfall. Are you a track or it is a shortfall? And why do I need to make that up? Financial needs, we look at your debt situation. You look at, for example, how much you look at the amount of debt you have, how much you're paying every month, right? How much interest you pay on these debts. And based on that, when you'll be out of debt and how much interest you'll pay. And it'll show you ways you can pay it off so much faster.
Yeah.
Your income protection number, which is also an important number. So you look at your number one is your financial independence number, your debt freedom date, and your income protection number. How much protection, life insurance do I need to make sure my family's protected? It will look at your number, look at all these different factors. It will tell you exactly how much protection you need. So anything you want to know financially, exactly how to do, even to college. If you have kids, you want to send your kids, how much you put in for the kids' education, it'll show you how much that is also. If you want to buy a house for a certain period of time and you know how much you need to save, put aside, it'll show you all that. Every goal you have, it'll show you how to do it.
It really is a financial GPS.
Yes, exactly. And it helps you. And the good thing about that is you want to do it every 6 months, every year. Because what it does, just like a GPS does, right? What does GPS do? When you get off track, it doesn't tell, okay, that's it, forget it, you're gonna get lost, recalculate. Let's get you back on track. Let's get you back on track. Make a different turn, This is what we have to do. Just like a GPS tells you, like you never put your GPS on, right? And let's say if you take a wrong turn, you'll pay attention, forget it. You know what? You're never gonna get there. Just park your car and that's it. Don't worry about it. The GPS never tells you, that, okay, don't worry. Okay, make a right. It will calculate. It will count and tells you what to go back again. Makes sense? So same thing when you do financial needs analysis every single year you want to have, so it'll tell you how are you getting closer to your destination or further away. You can adjust, and why do you need to adjust to make sure you get back on track. Make sense?
And your advice is doing this at least every 6 months.
6 months, most likely a year is good, right? Once a year is pretty good. But some people, let's say if you have big goals, you really want to aggressive, you can do every 6 months. But a year is a good measure. Just like, listen, just like you're supposed to go to a doctor every year, right or wrong? Get a checkup every single year, right? I mean, some of us do. I'm getting better at that, right? But just to get a checkup every single year, it's the same thing with your finances. Why? Because why? Why get a checkup every year at the doctor? Because you might have something wrong. You don't realize it. Make sense? And you need someone to maybe listen. You have blood pressure is high. Your sugar levels. You need to. It's the same thing. It's the same thing with your financial needs now. So you might have had more debt. So your debt to income ratio has gone up. Maybe you realize you're gonna retire. Oh my gosh, you want to move up your retirement or delay your retirement. So all these different factors could make a big difference. Absolutely. So definitely have that.
Yeah, this literally has been a roadmap that you've given us this evening. And we shared some polls. Whether you're watching the replay later, you can still answer that in the comments, and we'll go back and contact you if you're ready to invest or if you're ready to have this financial needs analysis report happen for you, which is amazing because they're doing it for free. So it's great to be able to sit and do that. And like we just heard, bypass that middleman and start investing.
100%.
These are such great episodes where we learn so much. I just had somebody text me and say, thank you so much for sharing the link, because they love going back and understanding all of the financial ups and the wisdom that you're dropping every time we come on here Tuesdays at 8:00. So good.
Absolutely. So, and we want to make sure people get on track. That's one of our goals, because we've seen both sides of it. We've seen where actually people hit their goals and how grateful they are, peace of mind. But we've seen the other factors where most people, they're like, oh my gosh, they're struggling, they're running out of money, they're panicking, and they're not sure, and they're like 70, 75, still working, and they don't want, and all that is because just they don't know. No one ever sits down with them. No one ever just got him. So we want to make sure we can catch people as much as possible, early as possible. Early is better. Sometimes we can't make miracles happen, right? But the earliest, the better off, we can help that person adjust. Make sense?
Yeah. Yeah. So about both the good celebratory moments that have to do with finances, but you can also share, which might be an episode, financial nightmares, like where people drop the ball or where there's been mess ups, and really sometimes unintentional, and it's simply because of ignorance. We just don't know, and not being educated. So I'm sure, you have lots of stories of that stuff, because you said 1997. I wrote it down. You started in 1997.
1997, yes. That's right after Moses.
Yeah. So listen, isn't that great that we're talking to somebody who did just start 3 months ago, or even 3 years ago, someone who really has seen all scenarios, so that we can contact him and say, has this ever happened to any, have you encountered this? And what were you able to advise? Because I find myself in that situation, or I have a family member in that situation as well, and I don't know what they need to do. Excellent.
Absolutely. There's not too many scenarios we haven't seen. There's not too many scenarios we haven't seen. And we don't have the solutions for everything, right? But there's not too many scenarios that we've seen. I'm telling you, we know how to avoid the scenarios.
And you've seen, even because you've been in the business for so long, folks that have passed that were in their 80s and up there, but you've also seen people even in their 20s that have passed, which is sad and unfortunate. But then you look at it and you say they were protected, they had the insurance, they did what they needed to do. Exactly,
100%. We've seen that happen. I mean, we had someone that just passed, a young man passed recently, which is sad. It's very sad, I mean, especially for the parent, because you never want to. One of the biggest nightmares is one of the goals you want to have is make sure you're outliving your kids.
Yeah.
And it's tragic, because if you think about it, there's no word for it in a dictionary. If you lose your spouse, they call you a widow, right? You lose your parent, they call you orphan, but there's no word in the dictionary that can express when you lose a child.
So true. So true.
There's none. So because that's very painful.
Yeah.
But we did the best we could, protected the best we could in the process,
Thank you, Bernard, for your obedience in starting this podcast. We're in episode 76. We just love seeing those numbers go up, and for being so faithful and diligent in teaching us every single week with such great information. And we're just thankful. Yeah. Thank you, Coach. French says, thank you, Coach.
Absolutely excited. So we'll see you guys next week. And let us know.
Yes, we will see you next week. Don't forget to contact. The email address is scrolling below. And you know what you need to do. We love you guys. We will see you again next Tuesday, 8:00 right here. Have a good one. Bye, Bernard.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for tuning in to the Army Empire podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe and share it with your friends. Join us next week for another exciting edition. And until then, keep building your empire.